I know you do. I mean, who doesn't want to buy a home, especially now, as we see firsthand prices just going through the roof? Who would have thought prices would still be going up while interest rates are going up? And that's exactly what happened. We went from 3% to 6.5% to 7%, and interest rates are still very, very high. And so there is a way to get in still. There really is. And I'm going to be talking about it, not today on the Eric Frazier Show, but on March 29th at 2:30 p.m., folks, I will be live at Cutz Barbershop. Cutz. Do you know where Cutz is? It's in downtown Riverside on 6th and Main Street. If you are familiar with Riverside, downtown Riverside, where the Emporium is, you got Prohibition on the corner. Then you have Upper Crust, a great sandwich shop. And then right next to that, you have the Copper Goat Coffee. Have you heard about the Copper Goat Coffee? Now, I'm telling you, you haven't had coffee until you had coffee at Copper Goat. This is a Ethiopian coffee. And I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. I mean, check out the Instagrams and go to the website, coppergoatcoffee.com, and learn all about it. And so, in fact, if you go there, say you want a cup of coffee on Eric, all right? You want a cup of coffee on Eric, and I'll take care of that. I'm going to do that. In fact, I'm going to let them know, all right? I'm going to let them know that 10 cups of coffee, that's it. That's what I'm buy. The 10th cup, that's it now. So get down there, cup of coffee on Eric, all right? They'll know exactly what you're talking about. Now, next door to Copper Goat Coffee is the Barbershop, Cutz Barbershop. John Jefferson, been there forever. If you need a cut, man, go to Cutz, and he will give you a cold cut. I go there every 2 weeks. I'm about due now to get my hair cut. Anyway, I'm going to be there March 29th at 2:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., folks, and I'm going to be dropping it like it's hot. If you want to know what's going on with the Riverside real estate market, I'm going to have the data. If you are wondering whether or not you should sell, you should buy, you should get a home equity line of credit, or maybe refinance the first, I'm going to talk about it, folks. We're going to talk about, the market, what's going on in Riverside and the surrounding markets. We're going to talk about financing options. I mean, the way you can get in now in spite of the high interest rates, you can still buy. I mean, obviously, you got to have the money. You got to have the income to qualify. And, there's some creative things to do, creative things to consider, and trying to make it more affordable. There's some options you might not be aware of. We're going to talk about it. And then there'll be open Q&A, meaning that I'm telling you, you ask the question, I got the answer. All right. If I don't have the answer, which would be pretty difficult to stump me. But if I don't have the answer, I'll get you the answer. But come and bring all your questions about buying, selling, refinancing, getting equity. We're going to talk about pooling funds together, buying as a family, socializing the cost, buying a 4-unit property as opposed to a single family home. There's so many ways to still get in. Let me tell you something, folks. Many people are thinking that, nobody's buying a house. They can't be. Prices are too high. Interest rates are too high. Let me tell you something. Homes are being sold every single day. Every single day, people are closing on loans. I've never seen in my 44 years of mortgage banking, I've never seen a month in my entire career where a loan was not being closed, our home was not being closed in a month. It's just, this volume increase and decrease with interest rates and what have you. Of course they do. But there's always a market to buy. There really is. So I'm going to be talking about real estate and I'm going to be talking about loans. And why? Because I am a licensed real estate broker. My license number here in the beautiful state of California is 011-43484. I'm also a licensed mortgage broker. My license number through the NMLS is 461807. I've been lending folks for 43 years. I've been in real estate for over 35 years. I'm a broker. In fact, right around the corner, right on 6th there in Maine, what is the address? 3739 6th Street is Frazier Group Realty. That's my wife and my daughters. That's all we talk about is real estate. We've been in real estate forever, almost 20 years in that same location. So right after you finish the seminar, you can literally walk around the corner, meet with my wife or one of my daughters, and get started with trying to find a home or sell your home. Of course, I will be there to guide and assist. You know, I'm not just a broker, real estate broker, a mortgage broker. I'm a business consultant. I'm a personal financial coach. In fact, go to my website, ericfrazier.com, and you can see all the services I provide to support people, to help them make great decisions. You know, I wish I knew me at 19, 20, 21, or 30, or 40. I wish I knew me, right? Someone who was willing to just give you, you know, great advice, solid advice, without requesting anything in return. Like, for example, most people are getting advice from the very people who are going to sell them the product or the service, right? That's not me, all right? When I'm giving advice, I'm working as an advisor and a consultant. You do not have to use me to, you know, handle your loan transaction or to sell your real estate. As a consultant, I get paid by the hour for my time. Personal financial coaching, business coaching. Let me tell you something. Everybody needs a coach. No one outgrows a coach. No one never not needs a coach. Everybody needs a coach because nobody knows everything. And so you need to find somebody, especially that knows more than you, to help you navigate through the treacherous waters, and I mean they are treacherous, of real estate and lending. So we're having a seminar. Go to ericfrazier.com, ericfrazier.com. You'll see the pop-up there. Sign up today. thepowersnow.com. You'll see the pop-up. Sign up today. Register today. It's absolutely free to get this information. For 2 hours, folks, I'll be standing on my feet, answering questions, presenting information, giving you the tools and the resources you need to make a great decision this year in buying a home. And of course, if you want to meet with me and get further assistance, coaching, business coaching, if you need credit help, I can help you there. In fact, I wrote a book on it called The Credit Handbook. In fact, go to my website, thepowersnow.com or ericfrazier.com, and I have a bookstore there, and all those books are available on Amazon. Now, if you become a member of The Powers Now or of ericfrazier.com, all of those books, all of them are free to our members. The membership is $10 a month. That's all. In fact, if you pay annually, it's only $60 for the year. And folks, I am writing books every single month. Every single month, we are releasing new books. I have at least 12 books in the works right now that I'm writing and working on. That's all I do is write and speak and teach, and that's what I do. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and I certainly hope you've taken note of the seminar. Again, let me split the screen here, give you the details. March 29th at Cutz Studio from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, folks, in beautiful Riverside, California, downtown, right next to Copper Goat Coffee. Go in there and say, hey, I want a cup of coffee, and Eric said it's on him. All right, now they'll do that 10 times. That's it. So they'll be keeping track. So get in there. Your cup of coffee is on me. Now, if you come to the seminar, right, you may also get some other things for free. All right, so I hope to see you there. I'm looking forward to meeting you and talking with you about real estate. Have a great day, and hey, check out the Eric Frazier Show. Download the Powers Now TV. Download Eric Frazier on your Apple or Android device. The Eric Lawrence Frazier MBA, my own show, my own app. The Powers Now TV, our own app, broadcasting on all the streaming platforms and all the podcast platforms. Have a great day, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you March 29th at 2:30 p.m. downtown Riverside, Cutz Studios. Have a great day. If you're renting, your rent keeps going up. Isn't it making you angry that you're paying someone else's mortgage? Home prices are climbing higher and higher every day. In the very neighborhood you're in right now, you're seeing it. You keep thinking about buying a home, but you haven't made a move. Dreaming won't build wealth. Only action will. Your power is now. Homeownership can no longer just be a dream. It has to happen now. That's why the Power Is Now is here to help you make it a reality. Join the Power Is Now and get the resources you need to buy your first home or even another home to build wealth in real estate. Learn directly from real estate professionals and industry experts. Gain access to webinars and podcasts and books filled with the knowledge you need to succeed. Stay informed with our free real estate magazines and featuring homes for sale and experts on various topics. Your power is now, folks. Visit the Power Is Now and subscribe today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Eric Frazier Show. My name is Eric Frazier. It's a beautiful day here in Riverside, California. I'm here at Cutz Barbershop. And folks, we're talking about real estate today, all day today. And I encourage you, if you are watching us live, come on down. Let's have a conversation about buying real estate, selling real estate right here in beautiful Riverside, California. My name is Eric Frazier, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch us or listen to us. We're live on podcast platforms as well as on our website, thepowersnow.com or ericfrazier.com, and we're live on all the streaming platforms. And so I encourage you to share the video because we're going to be talking about some very important things in regard to real estate. The goal is to help you find a way to acquire it. To manage it, to sell it, to make money from it, create passive income from it. We're going to be covering all of that today. And I certainly hope that you'll take notes, and if not, retain it and meet with me to talk about it. And so you have an opportunity to do that as well. All right, so let's get right to it. I'm going to share the PowerPoint presentation.
and I encourage you to follow along. So this seminar is about homeownership, your path to homeownership, and who doesn't want to buy a home? I mean, you think about the cost of housing right now. I know many people who are really disappointed that they didn't take advantage of the opportunities, a few years ago. But it's never really too late. You just have to do it differently. And so we're going to talk about the market, the opportunities to buy here, and getting ready, and what are some of the strategic ways you can acquire real estate. So your path to homeownership and wealth. So the first thing we're going to cover is the Southern California market. But before I do that, I'm going to give you some details about me and about Cutz Barbershop here in Riverside. And then we're going to get into an index. I created my own index. It's called the Frazier Housing Capacity Index. And this is a play on the price to income index, which does a terrible job in really helping us make decisions as to whether to buy or sell. So I'm going to show you the index, how it works. And then we're going to talk about what it means to be mortgage ready. And there's really 5 pillars that every household has to stand on in order for, they really call that the foundation in order for them to start buying a home or look into purchasing homes and investment. Then we're going to look into the mortgage financing options that are available. Of course, we'll talk about the standard options that are out there for everybody, but a lot of people don't know that there are some other creative ways to get into a home with non-QM and DSCR loans. And then we'll enter into real estate acquisition strategies, and we're going to talk about some house buying hacks that, maybe intuitively you understand it and maybe you know about it, but never really seriously considered it. And so that's what we're going to focus on, the hacks, the partnership buying, out of state investing, which I think most people should be doing, especially if you're unable to move and to relocate, consider investing out of state. And then we'll open it up for Q&A. And those of you who are watching online, just tap it in. We're live right now on all the social media platforms. Just ask your question, and I'll be happy to answer it and to hopefully give you enough information where you can take action. All right, so let's start with me. Again, my name is Lawrence Frazier, and I am a graduate of the Bulldogs out here in Redlands, California, University of Redlands. I got my undergrad and my master's there in finance. I've been a mortgage banker now for almost 43 years and a real estate professional broker agent for about 35 years. In fact, I've been in this business almost as long as I've been married, which is 44 years. In addition to being in mortgage lending and real estate, I'm also in media. So I'm the CEO of The Power Is Now Media, and we are broadcasting right now on all the streaming platforms, including podcast platforms nationwide, worldwide, in addition to our social media platforms. And our focus at The Power Is Now is about financial literacy, helping people to make great financial decisions in regard to building wealth, eliminating debt, everything you can think of. If it's all about money and helping you better manage money and acquire real estate, that's what the Power Is Now Media is all about. We don't do entertainment at all. We do education, financial literacy. Go to thepowerisnow.com and become a member of the Power Is Now today, and I promise you will not be disappointed. In fact, as a member of the Power Is Now, you get access to all of the publications. We write white papers, we do books. All the books are in regard to real estate, mortgage lending, finance. In addition to that, a couple of books on poetry. I am a poet, and I love writing books of poetry. So right now, I have 11 books that I published. They're all available on Amazon, but they're free to members of the Power Is Now and of Eric Frazier Advisory Services. So whether you become a member of the Eric Frazier Advisory Services or the Power Is Now, you have access to all of our materials for free. All right. Now, as I mentioned, I'm here in Riverside, downtown Riverside, at Cutz Barbershop, and the owner is John Jefferson. I've known John for a long time. He is an incredible barber. He's been cutting my hair. I've lost count, John, how long you and I have known each other, and have you've been cutting my hair. But he has moved to this great location. He's been here now probably good 5 or 10 years now. How long have you been here, John? This is year six. Year six. And this place is really built for connection, for culture, for conversations. In fact, I wrote a poem about barbershops because of the great conversations that take place in barbershops. And it's a place where everyone comes to, you know and to get known and to find out what's going on in the community. And so John was gracious enough to allow me to broadcast from his barbershop today, and I appreciate him for doing that. And in fact, we're going to do it again, April 26th. That's one day after my birthday, April 25th. We're going to do it again, and we certainly hope that you'll come out or tune in and learn more about real estate. And so I think that building wealth not only involves owning real estate, but also owning your own business. And John does both. So he's walking the talk. He's talking the talk, walking the talk, if you will. And I appreciate you, John, for doing that. All right, so let's get right into the market. Now, I've been in Riverside for the last 25, 26 years, and I'm amazed at what's been going on. And I'm going to show you the history. But right now in Riverside, there's about 2.4 million people that live here. It's the fourth largest county in California, the highest appreciation in Southern California, right here in Riverside. And why is that? Because people can't afford LA, Orange County, San Diego, they're all coming here. The median price home is $560,000, folks. And think about that, $560,000. I remember when you can get a house here in Riverside in a couple hundred range, and now it's 560. The median household income is 76,500, and that means the price to income ratio is 7.3. Now, we're going to get into that in greater detail, but essentially that means that the income, it would take 7.3 years to purchase a home if you have devoted 100% of your income to that purchase, 7.3 years. And that's a pretty high price to income ratio. What is normal is 2 to 3. And what many are able to tolerate is 3 to 4. Right now in Riverside is 7.3. The median rent is $2,200 per month, and it takes about 30 days, 28 days on the market to sell a home. And it's still very much a seller's market here in Riverside with 2.4 months of inventory. To make it a buyer's market, we would need to have 6 months or more of inventory in order for it to be a buyer's market. So sellers are still getting their price, getting their way. And I know for those of you who are real estate agents, you may be thinking that, well, you're seeing price reductions, you're seeing concessions. You're going to have those situations, but the challenge is that the homes were probably overpriced from the beginning, and this is why you're seeing concessions and price reductions, because this is very much a seller's market. The fastest appreciation metro in Southern California, 10% year over year appreciation. People driving in from LA, Orange County, San Diego, it is not going to stop. Inventory, there's any new construction that's happening in Riverside, it is gone. It is gone. I mean, there are some builders that have some stuff, it's sellouts. Thank God, more new construction is coming, but it's just not enough to keep pace with the population growth here in Riverside and the migration. And so house hacking is the way to go. Because if you're thinking about buying in Riverside and you're feeling priced out, buying a 2 to 4 unit is the play right now. I'm telling you, it is the play, because a single family is just much more difficult. You got no help. Buy a 2 to 4 unit, move in one of the units, use that extra rent, to hit cover that mortgage payment. Let me tell you, that's the route to go. That's the house hack number one, just about everywhere. Now, if we go to San Bernardino County, it gets a little easier. And typically, the further east you go, the easier it gets to buy. The median price is 450,000, and the median household income is 68,000. And so and notice here the correlation between the price and the house, right? As the household income drops, so does the price home. And there's a reason for that. I mean, there's no need to build a house, price it so high where no one can afford it. It's just going to sit there. It's not going to sell. And let me tell you something, all real estate will bow down to the medium income and the demand curve. At the end of the day, sellers can ask for whatever they want, but they're only going to get what the market is demanding. And what the market demands is what the market can afford. And that's why you can buy in San Bernardino for 450,000. Look at the median household income. Look at the price to income ratio. And even still, that's too high. The price to income ratio should not be more than, in my opinion, 2 to 3 times the income. And of course, economists and others who feel like they're experts in the matter say 3 to 4. And I think 3 to 4 is manageable. It is manageable, but ideal would be 2 to 3. 32 days on the market, so still very much a seller's market. Let me tell you something. What's been happening here in Riverside is going to be happening in San Bernardino. I'm telling you right now, 10 years from now, if you're not buying in San Bernardino because it's too far to drive, you're going to regret it. Because what's happening is people who are not buying because they don't want to do the drive are end up regretting it. I have more clients than I can even count that wish they had listened to me, and now they cannot buy at all. They're completely priced out. So the areas that are just growing rapidly are anywhere east of San Bernardino, and you'll see a lot of new construction happening. San Bernardino is the largest county, San Bernardino County, by land area in the United States. And so there's a lot of opportunity in San Bernardino and Ontario, Fontana, Rancho Cucamonga. Oh my goodness, all the commercial buildings being built there, all the factories, the companies, manufacturing, that's happening. And this is why you see a lot of logistics and warehouses sectors being built there. And it's really creating we'll call it a blue collar demand for homes and for rentals. So if you own rentals right now in the San Bernardino area or further east, you're seeing a significant increase because of demand and your ability to raise your rents and to make more money. So, but right now, folks, you can buy in San Bernardino in the 300, 400,000 range. You can. May not be in the best of condition, but you can get in. And my one of my favorite sayings is get in where you fit in. Los Angeles, well, this is where things get out of control. Medium home price, $860,000. Look at the median household income, $81,000, folks. 81,000. The price to income ratio is 10.6. 10.6. And the median rent is $2,850 per month. That's the median monthly rent. And that probably will get you a 1 to maybe a 2 bedroom. 22 days on the market. So at this price, properties are only staying on the market for 22 days. We're talking about inventory of less than 2 months. It is still clearly a seller's market. So the price to income ratio of 10.6 is more than double a balanced mortgage benchmark. And if we use just 4 as the balanced market benchmark, then you can see, I mean, it's more than double. Supply structurally constrained by geography, zoning, rebuild costs. You got groups out there that are preventing builders from wanting to build. The list to sell ratio is above 100%, meaning the sellers are not making concessions. They're not dealing with you. They don't have to. They list it, it's gone because there's a lot of overbuilding bidding right now in LA, and it will continue. So this demand for housing is what's spilling over into Riverside. And forget about an entry level buy. I have a client right now, makes good money, but cannot afford to buy. And so we're looking at 2 to 4 units, and we can't find anything there that works. She is going east because she realizes that she has to attach her income. You cannot save yourself to wealth, folks. Don't even think about it. You are your enemy is inflation. You cannot save yourself to wealth. Cash is not wealth. Assets are. And this is why you have to find a way to get in. Orange County, $1 million. This is a medium. And by the way, we're using medium because medium, takes out the extremes, the super highs and the super lows. And the medium household, same thing, $102,000. And look at the price to income ratio. Man, crazy, isn't it? 10.3% and 10.3x, which is, significant. I mean, it's the highest incomes in Southern California are right there in Orange County. And the median rent's 3,200, 18 days on the market. As you would think, right, intuitively, that the more expensive properties are, the longer it would take to sell. Well, no, that is not true. That is not true. It just depends on the market. Where you have a market where people are making a lot of money, then homes sell for a lot more money. And but there is a point. 10.3 is not sustainable. Orange County will see a correction soon. Orange County will see a correction. Days on market 18, 1.5 months of inventory. I tell you, it's difficult to buy in Orange County. So let me break down the price to income ratio so you have a clear understanding. As I mentioned before, it is the median home price divided by the median annual income. That's what it is. The median home price divided by the median annual income. It measures how many years of gross income equals the price of that home. And, it sounds great, right? It sounds great, but it really doesn't mean anything to the consumer. What it means something for analysts, for economists. They're comparing housing affordability across markets. And so just like we've been talking about, you see a market with a PIR of 10 versus a market of a PIR of 4. You're saying, well, obviously it's much more affordable in a market with a PIR is 4 versus a market where the PIR is 10. And so it also identifies properties that are just overvalued. And I would say that just about everything above 7, definitely above 8 and between and higher is overvalued. And something to think about if you're thinking about investing or building or whatever you may want to do. And so this PRI, the price to income ratio, does help guide policy decisions, investment decisions, and it's really used for industry insiders, economists, analysts, that kind of thing. And so when you look at the benchmark that helps them to make these decisions, the benchmark in the industry is 3.4, 3 to 4%. That's the benchmark for affordability. And so the national average right now in the entire United States is 4.8. And so compare the benchmark now to San Diego County, 8.9, Riverside County, 7.3, San Bernardino County, 6.6, and then Orange County and LA County in the 10% range. So the industry definition is designed to help make business decisions. But I have come up with a way where we can look at a housing, the capacity, we'll call it the housing capacity index, to determine whether or not it's a right move for an individual and a family to make a decision. So the PIR is not a personal affordability test. It is a market sustainability indicator. So what is considered sustainable, investor grade, something you should buy, is 3 to 4. If it's stretched, then you need to really take a look at the numbers and the market and the house and everything. It takes a little bit more discipline and analysis to consider investing in a market where the PIR is 4 to 6. When you get into the 7 to 10 range, like we are here, the demand curve is stressed. The properties are at risk of correction. The buyer pool, people who can literally afford to buy, is too small to sustain the current price on income alone. And so the price of these properties are being held up by scarcity. There's simply not enough homes that have been built. If overnight we had enough inventory, you would see these prices fall significantly. Low inventory is overriding the math. Is when scarcity breaks, the demand curve will win. It always wins. And that's what we've been dealing with here in California. This is why what is happening in California, you don't see happening in many other states. And because those numbers reflect the income of people who live in those states, and it also reflects that there's ample supply in those states. In California, we have a housing problem, and it's making it difficult for many people. So that's the only reason why California is defying the math, because when I just went over the median incomes for each of the areas, if you inverse the math, you would see the property values would be about 30 to 40% lower than what they are if they were within the normal range of the median income of people living in that home. And so PR tells the investors whether the market can sustain the price. And this is important. If I'm buying a piece of real estate, why would I want to buy something and then end up losing money a year later or 5 years later when I want to sell? I don't want to do that. I don't want to ever lose money on real estate. And so I need to make sure that my PRI is right. So another reason to think about building wealth through real estate and making the right decision, investment decision, is because of the future price of real estate. I mean, particularly for minorities, you know, we're not in gold and silver. We're not investing in even in the market. We're not taking those kinds of risks. We're not speculating in crypto and all these other coins. We're just not there. And the reason why is because we, as a community, and I'm not, you know, it's not everybody, but I'm speaking on the average, we just don't have the disposable cash to lose. We don't have the money to lose. Real estate is that one investment that you can move into it and ride it all the way to the top, move out of it, rent it, hold on to it, and get another one. And so in 2015, 10 years ago, if you bought here in Riverside, 215,000. 2020, 375. Today, 560,000. We're projecting, based on a 7-year appreciation, $785,000. 2035, that's $1.2 million. Let me tell you something. You've got to find a way to get your hands on a piece of Riverside real estate. You have to. And if you can't do it on your own, you need to look at some housing hacks, which I'm going to go through in just a minute, and get in. I mean, we're talking about a 10% annual appreciation rate. That's what it has been, 10%. If you know anything about the rule of 72, it's the factor that determines how money grows. So whatever rate you're getting, I don't care what it is, by the way, it could be in the bank. If a bank was paying you 10% and you dropped $1 million in the bank if you had it, and 10 divided into 72 is 7.2 years. In 7.2 years, if you didn't touch that money, you would have $2 million. And in another 7.2 years, you would have $4 million. It's called compound interest. It's based on the rule of 72. And look at what we've been getting here in real estate, 10% over the last 10 years. Total gains between 2015 and now, over 160% gain. And we're projecting another 7% appreciation. It could even be higher, folks. It's just, I don't know. I think that real estate, I'm not licensed to sell securities, and so I don't really talk about securities. I do realize that people have options, especially to diversify your money in stocks and bonds and real estate and other things. But for the person who's limited with cash, doesn't make a lot of money, real estate, I know it's been for me and my family, uh, the um, the pathway out of poverty. So, in an effort to help people understand how to use these numbers, I've kind of flipped the script and come up with my own index. It's called the Frazier Housing Capacity Index, and it works for the buyer, not the market analyst, not the market analyst. All right, the market analysts, they're working with millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. They represent groups. We're talking about what does these numbers mean for little old me? So, excuse me. So this is how it works. The PRI versus the Fraser Housing Capacity Index is addressing the same problem, but from two different lenses and coming up with one truth, and that is to buy or to not buy or to sell. And so the investor lens is whether the market is sustainable given the medium income. If the buyer pool is too thin to support the price, the market will correct and meet the demand. And I don't want to be there when it does, so I'm not going to buy. At 7 to 10, the buyer pool is really shrinking. Too few households can qualify at the price. Scarcity is the only thing holding the prices up. And then when the builders start building again, I'm going to be in trouble. The demand curve is going to correct the price, and I'm going to go in a different direction. I don't want to be that investor. The investor who buys at 7 to 10 is buying at the peak of a pool that is running out of qualified buyers, and he better be trying to flip it or do something because his days of profitability are numbered. With the FHCI index, we're looking at it from a buyer, an individual, and a family standpoint. And the question is, do I have the disposable income after taxes and living expenses to carry this specific home price for 30 years without a financial collapse? That's the one thing you're looking at. And the reality is that a fragile or detached buyer means that they can get in, but they can't stay in. All they need is just one thing to happen: job loss, a major medical situation, a rate adjustment. I mean, if there's no money in reserves to absorb that, then the buyer loses the home. And then we saw this happen in 2000, really around from 2008 to 2013, particularly minorities lost a significant amount of wealth because they bought homes without any reserves and without any stable employment, and they weren't able to deal with the adjustment that took place when it was discovered that all these loans were fraudulent. The bond market was just full of fraud. And once that was addressed, corrected itself. And unfortunately, many people lost their homes. So a buyer who closes as a fragile FHCI will make payments for a few years, then life disrupts like it always does. And without any reserves, they lose a home. And here's the thing: if they just followed the numbers, uh, numbers don't lie. Liars lie, but numbers never lie. Numbers always tell the truth. And people won't take the time to look at the numbers, to really understand the numbers, to determine whether or not they should move forward or not move forward. The PRI says the market cannot sustain the price. The FHCI says the buyer cannot sustain the home. They are the same problem. The difference, though, the investor, well, he's got plenty of money. He takes the loss and he moves on. The individual, they go bankrupt. They go homeless. They suffer for a long time because of making really the wrong decision. So what the PRI assumes about you is that you have no income taxes. Every dollar goes to housing. You have no rent, no food, no utilities, no transportations. You have no children, no medical bills, no emergencies. You have zero debt obligations of any kind. You can dedicate 100% of your gross income to one purchase. You live in a spreadsheet, not a house, not a family, not a life. That's what the PRI does. It's just the gross medium income divided into house. But what the housing capacity index actually measures is your real income after federal and state taxes, what you actually take home, your real surplus after housing, after food, after transportation, and all the living costs, your actual financial capacity, the margin available to carry a home after you meet all those obligations, the ability to survive a disruption, a job loss, a medical bill, a rate change. And your verdict is either abundant, you got plenty of money, reserves, stable, you're doing good, but you could do better, fragile, you're not in a position to buy, are completely detached. You are priced out, it's beyond your capacity, you cannot buy. The number tells you the truth before the lender does. Because let me tell you what the lender's going to do. The lender's going to say you're approved because lenders don't make money unless they make loans. The lender is going to always find a way to get you approved, issue a pre-approval, and put you into a loan because that's the only way they can make money. No lender makes money turning down loans, not a single one. They find a way to get you that money, to get you in debt. They don't care that your debt to income ratio is 50 or 60%. After taxes, 70, 80%. They do not care. This is why there's no real counseling by lenders. They send you to a HUD-approved counseling agency. They don't want to talk to you. They don't even want to know what your budget looks like, because then they might feel bad. So the housing counselor, they're not trying to make a loan to you. They're just trying to bring you aware. Listen, you want to buy a house, but after looking at the way you live and all your expenses, you don't even have money to save. How are you going to buy a house? That's a conversation that a HUD counselor will have with you. That's not a conversation that any lender is going to have with you. They're going to find a way to get you a loan, and so you can go into debt and buy a home and they can make money. So the PRI is not built for you, but now you have the Frazier Housing Capacity Index, and I hope that I start a trend here that everyone starts to use it. So based on the FHCI, there are zones, there are buyer zones, your personal decision engine. And so now you're looking at markets, right? And you're going to do the math because you know now what to do. You're not going to take your gross income and divide it into the house to determine your housing capacity index or your price to income ratio. You're going to take your net income after all the expenses have been taken out, and then you're going to go further. You're going to not just take your taxes and insurance, but you're going to take your living expenses. And so the question is, do you have the margin? The down payment, is that achievable? Are the monthly payments sustainable? Will one disruption destroy your ownership? Well, if you're buying in a 2 to 4, you're very capable to buy. If you're buying in a 5 to 6 HCI, you need to really be buying with discipline. You got to really know that you can do it. It's tight, but it's workable. And you got all the bases in place. I'm talking about the emergency fund, the savings, all that stuff is in place. You're not carrying a whole bunch of debt, no car payments. I mean, it really takes, in that 5 to 6 range, you have to be disciplined. 7 to 9, well, now you are taking some serious risks. I mean, you don't have any real meaningful margin when you're buying in a market at 7 to 9. Savings capacity is severely limited. You're saving money, but very, very little. One disruption, one job loss, medical, rate change, it threatens your entire position. 10 to 12, forget about it. Forget about it. The price has disconnected from your income. There's just no real path to entry, no buffer to survive any disruption. And if you are at least 20 years old, you've had probably enough disruptions for a lifetime. I would say 25, but 30, 40, 50, you know that the only thing you can count on is change. It's not a matter of if you're going to have a job change or reduction or a disruption in your income. It's a matter of when. And the question is, are you prepared for it? Are you ready to address that? Are you in a position to handle it? Or do you have to now lose everything because of a disruption that you did not plan for? 13x, forget about it. It's just not even possible to think about buying in a market where the HCI is 13. It's just don't even attempt. At 10 to 12, look at other markets where the FHCI is more capable, where it shows you're more capable and able to manage it. And we're going to show you some markets where this is the case. If you're an investor, and this is for individuals who own your home already and you want to buy more real estate, all right? This goes for you as well. The PIR is what investors use, but I'm going to tell you, if you are a company, if you are representing a pool of buyers, if you got a bunch of cash, then the PIR is something you can work with. But if you're not, then you need to look at the HCI. So a price range with a PR range of 2 to 4, that's considered a balanced market. There's enough demand where you know that prices will continue to rise. They will continue to rise and they'll get to maybe 5 to 6. Now the market is stretched, but it's still functional. And the economists will flag the risk here because inventory levels are, key now to watch. When you get to 7 to 9, the buyer pool is thinning. Scarcity is the only thing that's supporting the price. And so your risk of being caught in a correction, and that's what you don't want. And then you get into 10 to 12, well, correction is imminent. Income is not supporting the current price. The buyer pool is too small to sustain the market. It is not a matter if, it's a matter of when the market is going to crash. And of course, it goes without saying, 13 plus, you have a problem if you have a property in that range. You need to be selling. You do not invest, you need to be thinking about selling. In fact, when it comes to first-time home buyers, let's look at them. I mean, capable 2 to 4, manageable 5 to 6, high risk 7 to 9. Do not buy. At 7 to 9, you need to be looking at house hacking, partnering up, doing things like that. 10 to 12 is not sustainable. Cannot do it. Redirect the capital to another state. California is not the only place you can own real estate. I'm going to show you some great opportunity. So let's go down to existing property owners. We're not talking about investors. We're talking about people who own their homes right now. First-time home buyers are not first-time home buyers, but people who own their home, existing property owners. And just go one more slide there, Marlene. So existing property owners are people that have been in their home for a while, and they're thinking about whether they should sell, right? They're looking at the PRR and thinking, okay, where are we here in Riverside? Right? Well, we just talked about it and we'll go over it again, but 7 to 9, the buyer pool is thinning. Correction risk is rising. And we are seeing a little bit of that. Yes, it's a seller's market. Yes, it's taking less than 30 days to sell. Yes, it's less than 2 months of inventory. Technically, we are in a seller's market, but it is not sustainable. The buyer's pool is thinning. This is why you are seeing concessions being made. This is the time to think about selling, capturing your equity while you have time in the market, and then jumping back in when the market cools down. If you own your home in a market and you're in the 10x to 12x range, sell, capture what equity you can because you are running out of time. You are running out of time. Again, there's going to be a correction. It's not a matter of if. The numbers never lie. The numbers never lie. Prices always meet the demand curve, always. It is like the law of gravity. What goes up must come down. Prices always end up meeting the demand curve. Some markets take longer than others. And so when you're in the 13 plus major correction company, I mean, wow, get out while you can, price, get ahead of the curve, price low, maybe create a bidding war, get out as quickly as you can, especially if you're at this time where you're looking to downsize. and you're ready to make the move. So when you apply the Frazier Housing Capacity Index to the Southern California market, this is what you have. So for investors, the PRI is 7.3, but for individuals, it's really 10.5. So you can't look at the price to income ratio, which all realtors and professionals talk about. You need to look at your net income situation, your real capacity. The FHCI shows that Riverside is at 10 and a half. It's not sustainable. You don't have enough margin to do it. San Bernardino County is stressed, believe it or not, and it's affordable, but it's stressed. That means that you need to really be focusing on building cash reserves, making more money. It's just not sustainable if your HCI is 9.5 or higher. Look at LA. Forget about it. Way beyond your capacity. Orange County, beyond your capacity. San Diego County, beyond your capacity. Don't buy, don't buy. Honestly, you really can't buy. Income is what makes the decision for you. If you don't make enough money, don't get talked into buying something that you know from a budgetary standpoint you cannot afford. So, are you mortgage ready? That's the question because no one's paying cash. Everybody's getting a mortgage. And there's five things you must answer honestly before you buy anything. And the first thing is a budget. Do you know where every dollar is going? Do you even have a budget? I do personal financial coaching, and it's rare do I meet anyone that has a budget. They have a written budget. They may have it in their mind, but they have not written it down in paper, and they're certainly not using any budget apps. I love You Need a Budget, YNAB, a great budget app. Rocket Money has a great budget app. There's a ton of budget apps. In fact, I've just wrote a book called How to Run Your Business, How to Run Your Household Like a Business. And I talk about 10 different types of budget apps that I think are fantastic. And I've played with them all. My favorite is You Need a Budget, and I would highly recommend you get it. Know where every dollar goes. Do you have the reserves? Do you have 6 months of expenses saved? And that's not really a reserve. I'm not talking just expenses. True reserves is 6 months of your income. The net income that you need that comes into the household that enables for little Johnny to go to football practice and little Susie to go to ballet class, where life continues in spite of the disruption, is 6 months minimum of that income. That's what you need to have in reserves. No one should be buying a house if they don't have a minimum of 6 months in reserves. That's in addition to what they need for the down payment. It's in addition to what they need for the closing costs. You should not be buying a house if you don't have reserves. Because basically what you're saying is that nothing's ever going to happen. You're Superman, Superwoman. You're never going to have any disruption in your income. You're never going to get sick. You're never going to have a health issue or something like that. Somehow you're above it all. And all you got to do is look around you and look at your friends. Heck, look at your parents and know that simply isn't true. Do not buy a house without having the reserves. The other thing is debt. Is your debt to income ratio under control? Basically, you're taking all the expenses, your car payment, your credit card debt, everything you own, divide that into your income. So if your debt to income ratio is greater than probably 25%, you have a challenge. You should not have any debt. Do not carry a credit card debt. Do not have a car payment. Do not carry any debt. Especially if you want to buy a house, because the payment is so large. And every time you add something to that payment, like a credit card, like a car payment, or anything like that, all you're doing is increasing the likelihood of losing that house because a disruption is coming. You can count on it. I'm not a betting man, but I put $1 million that a disruption is coming on anybody. Nobody is above it. Another thing is number 4, lifestyle. Are you ready for the true cost of ownership? Because it's going to mean giving up a lot. Forget about going out every weekend, dropping 100, $200, like a lot of young people do. I mean, I did it. We all do it, You can't even go to dinner without dropping $100 during the week if you don't feel like cooking. You do the weekend, it's $200 to $400. I'm working with people right now, and thank God they have stopped this, but they were dropping $800, $200 a weekend, sometimes $1,000 a month in entertainment and food and going out, and they have no money in the bank, none. They spend everything they make. And this is the rule. This is the rule. And they want to buy a house. Lastly is vision. Is this purchase aligned with your long-term plan? What is your vision for yourself and for your family for building generational wealth? Do you want to leave something for your children? Do you want to have passive income? Do you want to buy something, pay it off? And when you pay it off, that then becomes passive income to you when you get up in age and you can't work as hard anymore. What is your wealth vision? In the book, and you can find this on my website, ericfrazier.com or thepowersnow.com. I wrote a book called How to Run Your Household Like a Business. And that book was really an epiphany for me because I've been in business my entire life. And it's kind of interesting, when I wasn't doing things right at home, I was doing things right in business because I went to business school. I knew the importance of planning and having a mission and a vision statement and having a budget and having an operational plan, a marketing plan. And I knew those things. And so when I ran into issues in my business, I always had a solution. I always had a plan. But when it came to my household, I didn't have a plan. And I think, why am I not running my house like I run my business? And that's where the book came from. You should check it out. You need a plan, folks. So the budget check is simply a reality check. The 5 pillars of mortgage. It's budgeting, number one. Number two, reserves. It's a sacred thing. It has got to be your number one priority. And it's not going to be easy getting to 6 months of reserves. It's not. Number three, eliminating debt. Nobody wants to eliminate their debt. They don't. They don't. In fact, the reality is that we have debt because we don't make enough money. I mean, think about it. Why would you pay more if a shirt costs you $50, but because you can't pay cash, you put on a credit card, it ends up costing you $60? Who willingly pays more for anything? I mean, out here, we used to have a farmer's market out here on Main Street in Riverside, and I would not go up to the farmer and say he wants $1 for his tomato, and I say, hey, let me give you $2. No, I would probably say I'll buy two for $1. You know, I would be trying to negotiate. I'm not trying to pay more money for anything. But that's exactly what you do when you use credit to buy anything. Not only are you paying more, but you're making everything cost more because credit increases accessibility, and accessibility increases demand, and demand increases price, which is why everything costs more because of credit. Then the lifestyle, being willing to, live within your means and within a budget that will prepare you for home ownership. That is a sacrifice that a lot of people, especially younger people, are not willing to make. And then the long-term vision in the 5 pillars here is really owning the house. That's what it's about. You're not just trying to buy something to flip and to keep flipping and keep flipping, and hopefully you have enough money in the end. At the end of the day, you want to own it. Just like the clothes in your back, the shoes on your feet, you want to own it. You really do. And then pass it on to your children. So here's an example of these pillars 1, 2, and 3, working: budget, reserves, and debt. So right now, the median price for a house here in Riverside is $640, and a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, you're looking at $2,300 in rent. All right, that's what you're looking at. So if a person was renting today and their car insurance and groceries, all their other expenses run about 500 there and 600 for groceries, utilities, 650 for car rent, they would have about $732 left in disposable income, which, by the way, is not really enough money. But if they decide to buy this house for 640,000, they're looking at a payment of about 5,500. And so a person, this is an example of how the housing capacity index or even the PRI works. It shows that you're literally not in a position. You only have one solution: make more money. The second solution would be pay off all of your debt. For every $1 monthly debt, that means $200 less in buying power. A car payment, which most people are not trying to live in their car, the car payment is destroying a lot of hopes and dreams. I know people right now driving cars where the payment is a grand a month, and it makes no sense. They wanted a reliable car. That was the explanation. So the real American dream is freedom. You know, that's what it is. Freedom. Homeownership is not necessarily freedom if it's not done right. You know, yeah, buying real estate, the first path is to hack your way in. If you don't make enough money, buy a 2 to 4 unit property, live in one, have the tenants pay your mortgage, build equity from day one. I have helped many people do this. It is path A for everyone. Path B would be out of state, buy cash flowing rentals in Arkansas and Tennessee. You can buy a house right now for between $100,000 to $200,000 in many southern states right now and have positive cash flow. You can. Maybe not at first. You may have a little bit of negative, but you're growing in cash flow, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then path C, and a lot of people don't want to do this, but I don't know why. I think that family needs to come together. Every family member should be trying to help each other to buy a home. And so partnering up, FHA allows non-occupant co-borrowers two incomes unlock what one income cannot unlock. And so partnering up, buying out of state, buying 2 to 4 units, that is the opportunity to really live the American dream and have the freedom, and buying assets this way provides. So let's look at some of the mortgage financing options. I'm going to talk about all the traditional stuff: FHA, VA, USDA, HomeReady, Home Possible, and then the big stuff, the non-QM, DSR, and down payment assistance. And so let's look at FHA. I like FHA. I bought my first home at FHA, and my credit score was probably around 580 when I bought my first home. So, so FHA was for me, helped me get in where I fit in at the time. And but FHA will allow you with a low FICO score to get in with 10% down, even lower. You can have a score of 500 to 579. Now, let me tell you something. A low FICO score is a sign of a much bigger problem that you have, right? I know this personally. It is a sign of a much bigger problem you have. So even though FHA provides the flexibility to still buy with 10% down, chances are, if your FICO score is that low, you don't have 10% down. There's a serious money management problem. But the flexibility here is amazing. You can use non-occupant co-borrowers. That means your parents and siblings can qualify, help you qualify. You're not getting hit with student loan debt payments, especially if it's counted as zero to your DTI. And the truth of the matter is, you want to get rid of the student loan debt, but if it's just way too much, we got to figure a way around it. No income maximum, so there's no income limits. Manual underwrite with zero score, so if you don't even have a credit score, you can still get an FHA loan. By the way, your insurance is your credit, your cell phone is your credit, your light bill, your water bill, all these other types of utilities you're paying, they can be your credit. They're considered an alternative credit score. You can easily build that, very easy to do. You can buy a house that's a total dump and fix it up with FHA. If your score is 580 or higher, you can get in with 3.5% down, and you can get gift funds for the down payment and the closing costs. Get in there, use a 203K, and basically, if the house is worth in its current condition, 400,000, And if you were to go in there, paint it, fix it up, and all that kind of stuff, spend another 100 grand, and it now you can buy it for 500,000 with only 3.5% down. So that's $17,000. That 100 grand that they added to it would be going towards the construction and the rehabilitation of the property. And then it's now going to be worth $700,000. You just walked into equity with none of your own money, and because you got it from your parents or something, and maybe you saved the 3.5 for the down payment and the 3.5 for the closing costs. But FHA, man, this is the program that most people need to get into a home, especially my people, if they're dealing with not having limited cash or down payment. But at the same time, I would highly recommend that you talk to a HUD counselor or you get a coach. So this is kind of a quick summary. Non-occupant co-borrowers, entire down payment can be gift. FHA, no maximum income limits. The loan is assumable. You can buy existing FHA properties, current FHA loans, assume the loan, take over the mortgage, and rates. If they bought it, 3 or 4 years ago, you could get a 3% interest rate. So, but it's cash to loan. So we'll see what the appreciation is. And then I love the 203K, combine the purchase and the renovation. And then you can buy 3 to 4 units. Normally, when you're buying a 3 to 4 unit property, a 4 unit property particularly, you got to put 25% down. But if FHA, you don't. FHA, 3.5% down for a 4 unit property. Think about that for a moment. And I have some incredible stories that I've helped single women, but single mothers, by the way, buy 4 unit properties, and it was life changing for them. In fact, I did an interview with one of them. Her name is Ina, and she don't mind me telling her name, Ina. Uh, she is living large today because of a 4 unit property she bought in Oakland that's worth millions now. And the cash flow is enough for her to retire on those 3 units. So I tell you, and she did it with FHA. VA, if you're a veteran, thank you for your service. No money down, no max DTI limit. I mean, the VA goes out of their way to put veterans in the houses. No PMI. Seller can cover all of your closing costs. I don't know, you can't get better. There's not a better loan in the universe than a VA loan. And there shouldn't be. I mean, these guys put their lives on the line for us every single day. Right now, they're in Iran or on their way to Iran. I mean, they deserve a loan like this, America's greatest mortgage benefit for our veterans. And I love the fact that you can buy a house, a 4 unit building as a vet with no money at all, folks. No money at all. Definitely something to consider if you're a veteran. USDA is 100% financing. The only difference between USDA and VA is that with VA, you have to be a veteran. With USDA, you don't have to be. But there are income limits, and it depends. You can get 100% financing right here in Riverside, other counties. You just have to have the FICO score. You got to be in that 640 range is what most lenders require, 640 range. And the income is for low to moderate income families. There are exceptions made depending on the market area. So it is just another way. Here's the thing. There's so many different loan programs. You have to sit down with an advisor. First, we have to assess your situation to see if you're even ready. And if you're ready, you know what program is going to be the best program for you? That's what a mortgage advisor does. And I love doing that, helping people make the decisions they need to make. So here's a quick comparison. You've got 100% financing with USDA. And the great thing about the conventional product, which is, a HomeReady and Home Possible, is that you can only need 3% down versus 3.5% down with FHA. And they have income limits as well, but you can count border income. So if you're renting out a room or if you're living with someone and they're going to come with you, then you can count that income to help you qualify. You can have an ADU. You can convert the garage, or if it's converted already, and count the rent towards qualifying. And then the mortgage insurance, unlike FHA, can go away after you achieve 20% in equity. And the rates are lower in terms of MI rates and mortgage insurance rates. And so, again, there's a lot to consider here when you're looking at the programs. But my job as an advisor is to find the program that best represents your situation. What I like about HomeReady is this whole border income, being able to get rent from non-borrower roommates. So you have roommates that are going to be living with you, helping with the rent. We can count their income. And this is necessary in markets where it's just high cost. But having all of this flexibility, let me tell you, the flexibility is great, but understand why they're allowing you to do this. It's because lenders don't make money unless they make loans. And do not be naive. That is all they care about, is finding a way to get you the loan, to get you into debt, to pay the interest, right? They don't care that you don't have any reserves. They don't care that you're stressed financially. You may not be able to sustain any type of disruption. You need to care about that and really make a decision that's right for you. And this is where working with a coach, a financial coach, is going to help you with that, not a mortgage consultant. Now, for individuals who live a life outside the rules, meaning that they don't pay their taxes, they don't report all their income, but they make a lot of money. I know a lot of people like that. They own restaurants, they own barbershops. Not to say that John is doing that, but self-employed people have the wonderful flexibility of sheltering their income. I mean, they try to use their business and their business tools and equipment and services to meet all of their needs so it can be a write-off. I mean, it's smart. But here's the thing. To qualify for the loans we just talked about, we got to see your taxable income, your net tax, what you paid taxes on. That's going to be the number we're going to qualify you on. Whereas if you're looking as an investor, you want to buy some investment properties, we don't care about that. No tax returns at all, no W-2s. We're just looking at the lease agreement. We want to make sure that you can rent it for equal to the payment. So payment is going to be $3,000 a month, and you need to be able to get $3,000 a month in rent. Have 25% down, and you're good to go. You can buy that rental. The DSCR loans is fantastic for people who like to have cash, who shelter their income. It is the way to go. Also, for people that have a lot of cash flow, they're making a lot of money. The bank statements look fantastic. Tens of thousands of dollars are coming through every month. We can do a 12 to 24 month bank statement loan. Again, you're not going to be able to use any of these programs and come in with 3.5% down. You're looking at 25% down if you want to get a decent rate. Asset depletion, say you have not a lot of income coming in, but you have a lot of money in the bank. Well, it's called asset depletion. We can take $1 million, divide that over 7 years, and count the 11 grand a month as your income to qualify you for a loan. So the flexibility to get into real estate is there. But again, this flexibility doesn't mean that you don't need a foundation. That's what you absolutely need. And so this kind of summarizes it all. How it works is just rental income versus the mortgage payment. Get a DSCR loan. Credit scores for most of these programs are in the 680 plus if you want the best pricing, but your score can be as low as 620. And there's typically a 3-year prepayment penalty on most of these loans, 1 to 3 year prepayment penalty. And so you want to definitely make sure that you are buying this to hold for at least 3 to 5 years before you make your next move. Down payment assistance, down payment assistance is great to hold on to your cash. Down payment assistance is not great if you don't have any cash. You just increased your borrowing. You're not only borrowing the money to buy the house, but you're borrowing the money for the down payment. You got two loans now. Now, there are some programs that will give you the money as a grant, and that's the Sapphire program and the Golden State Financial Authority Platinum program. They will provide you the money as a grant, but everybody else wants the money back. And so down payment assistance is great if you're going to leverage your cash, meaning that you've taken now years to finally get your 6 months of emergency fund established, and you have just enough money for the down payment and the closing costs. But you really know that you should probably add that also to your emergency fund. So you decide you're going to take a risk here and get down payment assistance so that you can buy the house and still feel secure having money in the bank. So let me tell you what the truth is. Down payment assistance, again, is another attempt for lenders to find a way to get you into debt. You want to be in debt and they want you in debt for the rest of your life, right? That's because no lender makes money unless they are making loans. And so the down payment assistance program is great if you are financially prepared. It is not a reason not to have an emergency fund. It is not a reason not to have the down payment and closing costs saved, actual money in the bank. It is not a reason to have high debt ratio and car payments and credit card debt. Right. It is a way to leverage your cash to have even greater security because you're able to delay it through down payment assistance. So all these programs are available. Typically, you need a 640 or higher FICO score to take advantage of any of these programs. Your debt ratio typically needs to be no more than 42 to 45%. And all of them carry a higher interest rate. That's the other thing. And so there's no free lunch, folks. If the 30-year fixed rate today is 6.5, then anything with a down payment assistance is going to be about 2% higher than that or maybe more, because they're going to finance that money through your interest rate. You're going to pay them back what you're borrowing through the interest rate. So it's making your debt ratio higher, your cost higher. You are better off not using down payment assistance ever. Save the money. So acquisition strategies. Let's look at this. And if you're not going to use that down payment assistance, if you're going to save your money, how can you get in now? Well, first one is buying a 2 to 4 unit property. Check this out. So 4 units, 680,000, down payment FHA 23,800, estimated payment on the mortgage is $4,450. 3 tenants paying $1,800 a month, and so that's a total rental income of 550. There you go. You're now living in a house in one of the units, and you've got a surplus of cash coming in. How does that not make sense? Now, the rental income qualifies you. 75% of the projected income needs to meet the mortgage payment. So they're going to either count the income on 3 units or take 75% of the total units. It's called the sufficiency coverage ratio. The property has to qualify first, and then you qualify second by taking that surplus income, adding it to yours, and you qualify. That's house hacking number one. Partnership buying is number two. 2 incomes, one property. So this is where getting together with family and friends, buy something with your best friend, your buddy, buy something with your brother, your sister. Combine your incomes. I mean, look at this, single borrower, 52,000 a year, individual purchasing power, 260,000. If they come together, they can buy something for 520,000. That could be a single family house. It could be a 2 unit. It could be something. You're still short to buy something in Riverside. So maybe bring in a third person. Down payment, 19,000. Easier to come up with a down payment when 2 people are working on it. So the partnership opportunity is really significant. And I don't know why more families don't do this. FHA allows non-occupant co-borrowers, both names on title, form an LLC, create a trust. I mean, there's so many ways to get in as a group, and I highly recommend, if you're interested in that, if the family would like to get together, I do family coaching on real estate. And I can create a path for you to be able for everyone to ultimately buy a home because everybody is helping each other qualify. Then there's rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. BRRRR. So you got partnership buying, you got out-of-state investing, which I'm going to show you, and then buy distressed properties, properties that are just in bad shape, rehab them, rent them to stabilize the income, get some cash flow going, refinance on a new appraised value, pull out your original capital, and then repeat the process. It's really that simple, folks. Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Keep doing that over and over again. And do that on your own, or you can do that with partners. Buy, rehab, rent, and repeat. And you can do that in state because you have more purchasing power right here in California, or you can do that out of state if you don't have more purchasing power here in California. So that being the case, I've given you what the market is. What do you do? Well, let me show you what you got to do. First, you got to buy. Look at the average renter's net worth, $10,400. That's the median net worth of a renter compared to a homeowner, almost $400,000. You got to find a way to get in now, almost 40 times. So owning real estate is simply not an option. Not owning real estate is not an option. Although you may not be able to buy something you live in, you may have to buy something out of state. In addition to that, interest rates, we were just somehow caught off by surprise to have such low interest rates for a few years and after the great financial crisis. But take a look. I mean, back in the 80s, I graduated from high school in 1980. This is what interest rates were, and people were buying homes. And then what has been normal? If you look at over a 50-year average of the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, it's been around 7, almost 8%. And so today's rate is around 6.5%. So think about it. We are really experiencing normal rates right now, normal rates. And everyone should be not waiting for interest rates to drop to 3.5%. They should be looking at ways to get in now. When you look at the 5 advantages of homeownership, renters have no advantages whatsoever. First, homeownership provides forced savings because you're paying off the house, you're building equity. Secondly, appreciation, growing at the rate of inflation at 7%. You're looking at 10% per year over the last 10 years here in Riverside. Then you have leverage. You're able to attach your income to an asset. You don't have to pay cash for the house. Just get enough in to own it, and then you control the appreciation. So your leverage is really a big thing. And then the biggest one is tax advantages. I mean, people who are renting are getting killed in taxes. You're able to write off your mortgage interest, your property taxes. And if you're buying a 2 or 4 unit building, you're able to depreciate a portion of that building, write off all your costs and expenses of management. It is just really incredible, all the advantages that you have. And the last one is control. When you rent, the landlord can tell you to move. When you own, you move when you're ready to move. And when you're moving to buy another one, as opposed to being displaced. So homeowners set their own terms. Renters can be displaced at any time, and that is a problem. The last thing is free and clear. That's really the long game. Every owner can win. You buy now and you just keep making that payments. Never refinance. Never refinance. I don't care how rates drop. You may be at 5%, 6% right now. You're thinking all these lenders are offering you 4% or 5%. Never refinance. And the reason why, because you've been in that mortgage for 5 years. If the payment is $3,000 a month, let's say make it easy math. If you've been paying $60,000 a year, $60,000 a year, over the last 5 years, that's $300,000. You're going to refinance back to a 30-year to save 1 to 2% in interest. It makes no financial sense. Not only that, once you get to the 15-year mark, you've paid most of the interest you're going to pay on that loan. And so you're able to pay that loan off. You'll see the principal drop even faster once you hit the 15-year mark. Never refinance. Pay it off. If anything, you want to find a way to double up on your payment, make an extra payment every quarter or every year so you can start building equity. So you look at this, 3,500 total interest paid, 720,000. I mean, at the end of that period of time, that house you paid 560,000 for is worth 1.5 million. Let me tell you something, folks. That's my story. That's my story. So bought my house for 500,000, sold it for 1.6 million dollars, and it was in less than 20 years. So it can happen for everybody. You have to have the willingness to stay in the game, make the payment. Don't be beguiled and hoodwinked into refinancing, all because you can save a couple $100 a month. Go make more money if you need that kind of savings. And there's many things you can do. Out-of-state investing is where the math works. We talked about the PRI. So look at this, Riverside, 500,000. Look at the cap rate, 2.8%. Unleveraged cash on cash return is 12.3, leverage minus 16. What that means is that when you take the cash, the money you put down, the closing costs you put down to buy that home, and you divide that into the cash that you're receiving per year, then that's your unleveraged rate, the cash you're getting. But when you subtract out the mortgage payment you got to pay, that's your leverage, cash on cash return. It's not really sustainable to buy here in Riverside as an investment, not at all. But if you look at other places like Detroit, Little Rock, Arkansas, Memphis, Tennessee, look at the unleveraged return, 22, 19, 20%, 15%. And then the leverage return, because you have to pay the mortgage. You're not paying cash for these properties. If you pay cash for these properties, then the unleveraged return would be equal, almost equal, because you still have to pay taxes and insurance. But look how much more easier it is to acquire. It's manageable, it's capable. You're very capable of buying and invest. I know right now properties in Detroit and Arkansas and Tennessee you can purchase for less than 200,000, have cash flow. And over the next few years, you'll see that because of increase in rents, your negative cash go to zero and start becoming positive cash. And so what do you buy? You're buying appreciation. You're not buying cash flow. Initially, you're buying appreciation. You're getting in, you're attaching your income to an asset and watching it grow over time. Many people say, well, man, how am I going to manage the property? The properties, I live in California, the properties in Texas or Tennessee or what have you. The reality is that there are far more people managing property than there are people that own property. I mean, the reality is you just need professional management. Professional management. Don't buy into the urban legends out there of people destroying property or not paying rent. It's simply not the case. Nationally, the vacancy rate is less than 5%. I mean, you can't even rent in some places. There's no available rooms to even rent. Unlawful detainers, evictions are at an all-time low. So it's just simply not happening. You find people with decent credit, good credit, and you rent to them. And there's abundance of people because so many people cannot afford to buy, they have to rent. And so the ability to be able to hire quality professional help, and I can assist you with that. Property management is going to get a percentage of the rent. It's more than worth it to pay them because they're there. They're going to manage the property. They're going to make sure that the tenant is paying the rent on time. They will handle, if there's an eviction, they will handle it for you. You never have to deal with the tenant. And it's just a great business to be in. Landlords do not deal with properties. Property managers deal with properties. Landlords just collect the check. And if they buy right and they get the right tenant in there, it can be a great way to supplement your income well into retirement. So buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. This is my strategy. This is what I recommend. You can be renting right now. Buy out of state, rehab it, rent it, refinance it, pull out your equity, and let it ride. I mean, you can do that right now. You maybe can't afford to buy in California, but here's an example. Memphis, Tennessee. I'm from Memphis. Rehab buy a property for 140,000, put in 30,000 in rehab, total in 170. After the repair value is 215,000 because it's in much better shape now. Refinance it at 75% loan to value, you pull out $161,000. You got back $161,000, almost all of your capital. You have about $8,750 left. And so what have you done? You got $8,000 still invested in it, but you created $45,000 in equity. And that's just going to do nothing but grow over the next years that you own the property. So everything that I've been talking about is available at ericfrazier.com. This full seminar PowerPoint presentation, there'll be a replay of this video online. You can watch it again, share it with your family. I have all the cheat sheets for FHA, VA, USDA, HomeReady. I have non-QM, DSR, DPA programs. I have all the documentation. Folks, I've been doing this for 43 years, literally nonstop for 43 years. So in addition to that, I'm constantly writing. And so you have access to all of my books for free as a member of Eric Frazier Advisory Services, so the power is now. I have financial assessment tools to create a budget, to eliminate debt. I have mortgage readiness calculators. All of these are proprietary programs that I've written and developed. They're available for members only. And then I do real estate acquisition analysis and I deal reviews. So you are making the right decisions. And I provide 60 minutes of group advisory sessions every single month. So if you are a member, you can get on my group call and listen to others with their questions and ask your own questions about transactions, about what's going on in the market. And again, everything is free. Everything is free to members. And I highly recommend you become a member tonight if you can and get started. These are some of the books that I've written, 10 proven methods for building credit, the credit handbook, how much house can I afford, run your household like a business, the mortgage handbook, the Affordable Care Act, the African American Homeownership Initiative, Volume 1, and the African American Homeownership Initiative, Volume 2. I have 10 steps for minorities to buy a home coming out. It's a 4-volume series. I have more and more stuff coming, folks, and it's all, again, free. These books are available on Amazon to purchase right now, ranging from $30 to $130. They're free to members of Eric Frazier Advisory Services, and the power is now. So we are way past time. And if you have any questions, Maureen, if you see any questions online, you want to put them up on the screen. If not, I'll give it a few minutes here to see if any questions come online. But if anybody has any questions, any questions? No, we good. All right. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to present from the barbershop. And I'm looking forward to being back here again in April 26th, same time. And I'd love to have you here. If you would like to meet with me, go to it'stimetomeet.com. It'stimetomeet.com. There you can schedule a time to meet with me for a one-on-one 15-minute session, and we can determine how we can work together. Join the powers now, our Eric Frazier Lawrence Advisory Services. If you have the flyer promoting this event, scan the QR code and you can learn more about the next coming event. And then if you're on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on all the social media platforms, and I look forward to connecting with you. I want to thank John again. Go to Cutz Barbershop here in downtown Riverside. And he has some incredible barbers here. He's been here a long time. Right next to Copper Goat Coffee, where you can get some of the best coffee in Riverside. I encourage you to come down to downtown Riverside and hang out with us for the next event, April 26th, same time, 2:30 to 4:30. we will be live online. So if you can't come down, feel free to join us live. And please share this video with your family and friends. Your path to homeownership and wealth is about planning, getting the coaching you need, getting the help you need. You know, I wish I knew me when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, but I didn't know anybody like me. My parents couldn't help me, and the people that I knew who were doing big things didn't want to share their knowledge with me. And so I take pride in the fact that at 63, I'll be 64 next month, that I'm out here available and still sharing information that I've learned over the years. It is not free. Let me tell you something, knowledge is power, but knowledge is also not free. If you're willing to invest in getting the help you need, then I'm someone you should talk to, you should call. But knowledge is not free. Coaching requires time and effort. And let me tell you something, you should know from experience that anything for free has no value. Anything for free has no value. It's just a lead ultimately to talk to you about something you will ultimately pay for. But I don't play those games. I will meet with you for 15 minutes, talk about your unique situation, and determine if we can work together to help you develop real estate, a plan to acquire real estate, whether it be investment real estate to buy a home. Perhaps you need to improve your credit. Maybe you need to need a budget, you need a savings plan, you need a debt elimination plan. I do personal financial coaching, and you can learn about all that I do on my website at ericfrazier.com. And if you are a member of ericfrazier.com advisory services, you get a lot of that coaching for free in our group sessions that we take place once a month. Thank you for watching. Remember, the power is now, folks. Have a great day.
The Power Is Now magazines are the leading resource for real estate agents, mortgage bankers, entrepreneurs, and small home ownership businesses, providing leaders with business strategy information, resources, and tools through PIN, real estate, programming guide magazines. Stay up to the minute with real estate news and information from industry experts. Sign up today. thepowerisnow.com. thepowerisnow.com.
People in here. In the seats.
Actually,
Yeah.
some of the local